who was the richest person ever. The wealthiest man in history was also quite generous, but his generosity wrecked an entire country's economy. The man was Mansa Musa, a 14th century West African ruler. In 2012, his wealth was estimated at $400 billion, but economic historians agree that his wealth is impossible to pin down to a number. Mansa Musa was born in 1280 into a family of rulers. He inherited the Mali Empire and expanded it. He annexed 24 cities, including the famed Timbuktu. The kingdom stretched for about 2,000 miles, from the Atlantic to modern-day Niger. It included parts of what are now 10 different African countries. With such a large landmass came great resources, such as gold and salt. During Mansa Musa's reign, Mali accounted for almost half of the old world's gold, and all of it belonged to the king. Major trading centers that traded in gold and other goods were also in his territory. Although Mali was home to so much gold, the kingdom itself was not well known. This changed when Mansa Musa, a devout Muslim, decided to go on a pilgrimage to Mecca. The king left Mali with a caravan of 60,000 men. He took his entire royal court plus officials, soldiers, griots, merchants, camel drivers, and 12,000 slaves. They also had a long train of goats and sheep for food. It was like a city moving through the Sahara Desert. Everyone, including the slaves, was clad in gold brocade and finest Persian silk. 100 camels were in tow, each camel carrying hundreds of pounds of pure gold. When they reached Cairo, the impression was stunning. For 3 months, Mansa Musa lavishly handed out gold in Cairo. This caused the price of gold to plummet in the region for 10 years, wrecking the economy. By some estimates, Mansa Musa's pilgrimage led to about $1.5 billion of economic losses across the Middle East. On his way back home, Mansa Musa passed through Egypt again. He tried to help the country's economy by removing some of the gold from circulation. He borrowed it back at extortionate interest rates from Egyptian lenders. He gave out so much Malian gold along the way that many of his subjects were upset. They didn't like it that he wasted local resources outside the empire, but Mansa Musa's excessive generosity also caught the eyes of the world. Timbuktu became an African legend, attracting travelers from all over the world. It had a mythical status as a lost city of gold at the edge of the world. Mansa Musa returned from Mecca with several Islamic scholars. Among them were direct descendants of the Prophet Muhammad. He also brought an Andalusian poet and architect Abu Ishaq Sahli. The architect designed the famous Jingribur Mosque. The king reportedly paid the poet 440 pounds in gold. In today's money, that would be $8.2 million. Mansa Musa also funded literature and built schools, libraries, and mosques. Timbuktu soon became a center of education. People traveled from abroad to study at Sankore Madrasa. Mansa Musa is often credited with starting the tradition of education in West Africa. He died in 1337, aged 57, and the kingdom was inherited by his sons. They could not hold the empire together. The smaller states broke off, and the empire crumbled. The later arrival of Europeans in the region was the final nail in the empire's coffin. Most people outside of Africa have never heard of Mansa Musa.